Welcome to Ready to Mosh, a podcast all about rock, metal and alternative music. I'm Kev P.
And I'm Gem G. Each episode will bring you the latest news, talk about new releases and review gigs and festivals that we've been to. There'll be a smattering of guest interviews and a lot of random chat.
As well as the podcast, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Just search at Ready to Moshcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 58 of Ready to Mosh.
Hello.
Today, we've got another guest interview from one of the bands that you're going to be seeing at Uprising Festival. We've got Adam from Internal Conflict. We've just had a great chat with him, so listen on to hear more. Okay, so today we've got another special guest from a band that we're looking forward to seeing at Uprising Festival. We've got Adam from Internal Conflict. How are you doing, Adam?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks for coming on. Right, so we'll start at the beginning with the band then. If you can just tell us a bit about the background, so how and when the band began.
Oh, okay. Well, it's quite an interesting story with us, really, because I joined Conflict about 10 years ago now. The band had already been going a little bit before then, but I joined about 10 years ago. Like, I knew the guys before. Like, my old band played with them, and then like I used to book shows in my hometown area, Hinckley. So that when their old singer moved on and their bassist moved to country. They had a little bit of a restart, the guys. So they came and hassled me to join. So, like, in one form or another, they've been around, I don't know, 2008, I think, maybe a little bit before that. But yeah, the current iteration, I'd say, we've been at it for about 10 years now. Released 2 albums and an EP. We've been up and down the country a few times. We've managed to play Bloodstock, which is nice. We played the first version of Uprising, done a couple of appearances at Hard Rock Hell and Hammerfest, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been entertaining.
So, who are your kind of influences for music? Is it kind of like a joint thing with the band? Are you all into kind of the same things, or do you have your own particular thing? Yeah,
so as a band, like, we do individually have our own sort of influences, but like, we do kind of, most of us have a similar kind of realm. When we kind of, the direction initially, very influenced by bands like The Haunted and Killswitch Engage, Machine Head, that kind of, what we would call metalcore, but not what people would call metalcore now. I mean, that's a bit of a dirty word to some people, but you go back 2005, 6 era, Killswitch Engage, like Machine Head and stuff like that. It's kind of what it was, heavy verses, clean choruses, very influenced by the thrash bands, a lot of melody, a lot of hooks in the guitars as much as the lyrics. Then you got that kind of like heavy beatdown elements that the hardcore bands like your Hatebreeds and your Biohazards and stuff, bands like that. So like that's kind of like where sort of the journey sort of started with what we were doing, but then we've just kind of evolved, got into just different more modern bands where we'd like to think we keep up to date with what's coming out, not afraid to listen to a new band. And instead of like a lot of people, it's quite easy just to go, I'm not listening to this new stuff these days, it's all crap. But I think as a group of us, we're quite good at like finding new stuff, and whereas these days I listen to a lot of sort of doom and stoner, and I like a lot of the sort of the shoegaze black metal, like Mjol and stuff that's appearing. Like other guys in the band's just like they can't stand that, but it's but it's cool that we're able to sort of share each other's music and like just sort of pull from everywhere. I know that's probably a cliche, but we just kind of want to play everything at the same time and then just stick it on record.
Okay, and in terms of your songwriting process then, is that spread across the band, or are there particular members that do the lyrics and the music?
Yeah, I think every sort of time we've wrote songs since I've been in the band, it's kind of evolved slightly. Like the last album, like Chris Bentley, our drummer, he joined sort of before that era because our old drummer Dan left for university, like he's moved away. So like there was a good element of like Ricey on guitar. He's a riff machine. Like he's not like, this isn't really a criticism. He's not like a songwriter, but he will throw out riffs like nobody's business, and he'll have all these like little bits and pieces of songs and ideas. And then Matt, the other guitarist, who does the clean vocals for us as well, like he's full of ideas and structures, and like so like the two of them, all their ideas. And then you got Chris Bentley on drums, who again he's so good at being able to go, right, that's a cool idea, let me put this in there. And then there was a real good back and forth between everybody. And like Dan LaFar, the bassist, he rejoined during the writing for Aporia, our last album, and like he sort of really put in his stamp as well amongst all the bass lines. And now we're writing again. It's evolving a bit more, where we're, a couple of other guys are writing more than the other guys, kind of thing. It just seems to be however it works at the time. There doesn't seem to be a set route,
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's kind of changing over the years. And is it kind of like was it a group sort of decision, or was it just kind of what happened? Just kind of what happened, mate. Yeah. It's like I don't think there was ever really this is what we're going to do. Like with times we've sat in a room, we're going to try making big grand plans about how things are. Then plans change. All the rest of the guys have got kids. They've got families and all this lot, and so it's like, and the job's changing, and so things have just evolved sort of naturally, and we've just kind of gone with the flow.
Okay, then. So for someone who hasn't listened to Internal Conflict before, what 3 songs would you suggest that they listen to first?
So I'd probably say Catharsis, which is the song that we usually open with at this point. That's off the last EP we did. I think that was a big changing point in our sound, because with our first album with me, The Rising Tide, it was still very much kind of a very Swedish sort of thrash metal kind of album. It was very much that, but then like Matt had just started trying to sing on things and adding elements to it, and then that next EP was where we were really playing with like structures and getting a little bit more complex with where we were going and really bringing the clean singing to the forefront. And then so I'd say Catharsis is a good one. We've got a video for that out. Another one, probably Kingdom of Apathy. We did a video for that, which is we did a video at the Firebug for that, which is again a really good mixture of sort of where we're at. And then it's a tough call really, because there was one recently we released a video for that I made called Traitorous, which is completely different to anything we've done before. It's very, very sort of, I don't know, moody compared to the usually very angry stuff that we do. So yeah, maybe them 3: Traitorous, Catharsis, and Kingdom of Apathy are 3 good. So that's kind of like a spread across what we do.
Okay, cool.
What are the kind of plans for the new music? Are you working on something at the moment?
Yeah, so it's been 2 years since we released the album, and we sort of went into this year bit of a up and down time in terms of being able to get together and practice a lot. Just sort of life getting in the way. But like Matt has recently been spending a lot of time with he's always been a bit of a technophobe, never really sort of getting on with technology and gear, but like we've managed to basically learn how to use Reaper and recording technology, and he's got the basics down. So he's been hardcore throwing down riffs and structures and ideas, and he's come back in the space for about a month. We got the basis for 14 songs. We've never been in this situation before, so I think once Uprising is out of the way, we've got a couple of gigs in Ireland, but we're going to try sort of get a bit of time of just trying to hone these songs and just kind of decide what to do with them next. I mean, I've been trying to write lyrics, but my head's kind of not been really in it because I've changed jobs recently, so it's sort of focus hardcore on that. But the ideas are coming. We've had some really good gigs recently, and everyone feels like, the practice sessions we've been having have been really good recently. So it's nice to kind of, feel like a nice bit of motivation coming back, and the sun's out and everybody's really, I don't know, there seems to be a good vibe in the practice room. So it's nice.
So I think it's now time for the quick fire round.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 8 questions. It's just the first thing that you think of. Just come out with your answers. So first one then is, what was the first album that you owned?
Oh, first album that I bought, probably, I'm probably going to say, probably the first metal album I'll say that I really bought was Load by Metallica. Bought it on tape whilst on holiday in America. I had tapes of other albums, mixtapes of loads of Green Day and stuff like that. But I think that kind of came a bit later. I got into Metallica. That was the first sort of band I really got into. So not really a quick fire answer. I apologise.
No,
That's fine.
It's like with your answers, they can be, well, it's a quick fire round, just kind of think what comes to your head. That doesn't matter how long the answer is.
Sure, because I can talk. I can waffle on.
So what would be your death row meal? You get a starter, a main, a dessert, and a drink.
Oh, bloody hell. Death row meal. Starter. Bit of a basic bitch when it comes to starters. Like, I generally go for soups because I just like a good soup. It's not too much, nice chunk of flavour, nice, like, chunky, crusty bread. Don't want to have too much before the main, which for me would absolutely be a massive steak. Just simple steak and chips, peppercorn sauce. It's an absolute favourite of mine. And so, yeah, that'd be my mains. I'm not usually much of a sweets kind of guy, but if I'm on death row, I'd have to probably think of something. I don't know, probably it's like an entire Viennetta or something like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If it's my last,
and what drink would you go for?
Oh bloody hell! Depends on what the weather's like, I guess. If it's cold, probably a pint of ale, or maybe probably a Guinness. I think probably a Guinness.
And what was the first gig that you watched?
The first gig that I ever watched. So, like, I remember the pub I used to go to called the Barley Sheaf in Hinckley. It's a curry house now, a very nice one, but it used to be the Ultimate Dive Bowl. Motorhead had played there, Terrorvision and other bands. This is going back years. I was 17, I think. I just turned in 17 when I went there. And they would have lots of bands on all of the time. I can't remember too many individual bands per se, but it probably, I don't know. There's a band from around here called the Splitters, or they used to be around. They were ska punk, and they were just a bunch of locals. And they did really well locally, and they had a song called "Last Bus to Barwell," and it was basically just about the last bus to the town that we'd end up having to walk home to that last night. So that kind of sticks with me.
What are your favourite crisps?
Oh, that's a big one. I have a huge liking for salt and vinegar kettle chips. Just big, chunky salt and vinegar. I love it.
So a lot of power in those crisps.
That's it. It's a good hangover cure. When I have a terrible hangover, salt and vinegar, that I have a hankering for it big time.
What would be your dream tour lineup? And you can include yourselves on that if you want to.
Okay, so it'd have to be going on tour with someone, wouldn't it? I mean, I've always loved Slayer. I'd have loved to have got behind the scenes and hung out and probably get mocked relentlessly by Slayer. Because it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know how I'd respond to being around them, being such a fanboy as a kid. Well, as an adult, to be fair. But I'm just so committed to, like, sort of the underground sort of scene where it's like, I'd love to get a bunch of just, 3 or 4 bands where it's just us and a couple of our mates. And that could be there's a few bands I could put on that bill where we go out and have like a proper tour and go around and like just hang out with your mates on tour, staying in Premier Inns or in the back of the van and just hanging out for a week or a month. To me, that'd just be a dream come true.
What's your pre-gig ritual?
Pre-gig ritual. So between sort of loading in and packing down, got to do me vocal warm-ups. I got to do the Melissa Cross, Xena Screaming warm-ups. Absolutely essential, screaming and shouting like I do for, and the amount I do for the past X amount of years. It's weird, like, because I usually try to just get into the mode, try to watch the bands as much as possible. But like when it comes to like the real bigger gigs where I get really anxious, like the last time we played Bloodstock, I was just so anxious and had all this nervous energy. I was just pacing relentlessly, like up and down, up and down. It's like kind of winding myself up, like a sort of an elastic band ready just to let it go kind of thing. It's always try and channel that nervous energy because like I still get stage fright. I've been doing this 20 years now on and off, and it's like you still get nervous, you still get panicked and worry about what's going to happen, and I'll overthink lyrics and forget things and have to read the lyrics. But then, like, you just use that so that once you get on stage and you that first beat of the intro comes in, it's like, right, I'm doing this now. You know, the glasses are off. I can't see anybody. Just escape into that character and just go for it until I finish, and then everything starts to hurt.
If you were a biscuit, what biscuit would you be?
Wow. Biscuit would I be? Not what biscuit would I want. See, I'm the kind of person who would be able to destroy an entire packet of custard creams in one cup of tea. They are standard, but people disrespect them. I can also do the same to Maryland and Oreos as well. Oh, so I'm just going to go for the humble custard cream.
I'm definitely with you on the Maryland. I could give me some milk,
mate,
and pack some for Maryland. I can demolish them.
They're just so easy. They're just the right kind of weight and lightness. You can smash through them easily. So yeah, maybe I'd want to be a Maryland cookie, but I'd actually just be a custard cream.
What was the last song that you listened to?
Oh, I haven't actually listened to anything today because I've had a weird day at work. No, the last song I listened to, it was the new single by Spirit Box that came out today. Let me see if I can find what it's called. Yeah, I love this band. I know they're not. They can be a little bit divisive. The Void by Spirit Box. I love it. I really liked their old band. I Wrestled a Bear Once. They were called. They were mental. Like one of the maddest bands I've ever heard. But then this new band, I think the singer and the guitarist are like husband and wife, and it's just kind of like ethereal, Deftones-y kind of stuff. And she can do literally anything vocal wise. She's got the full range from the heaviest gutturals to the most serene, clean vocals, and I love it. And they're just incredible, and they're going places. Like they are really going places. So yeah, well, Spirit Box.
It's a solid choice. I don't think anybody's said Spirit Box yet.
Don't think they have. No.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing, man.
I can't argue with Spirit Box. They're good.
Yeah.
Don't think I've had a chance to watch them live yet, though.
No, I ain't seen them yet. They're all sold out instantly. So hopefully they'll turn up at one of the festivals and that I can get near.
Okay, I think that was the last question in the quick fire round.
It was, yeah. So we'll go back to
we'll go back to normal activities. No more crisp and biscuit questions.
Oh, no, that's fine. They're the hard hitting questions that we need to be answering, and I mean that.
So next up, we just wanted to talk a little bit about Metal to the Masses, because the Leicester final is at the start of Uprising, and we spotted that you've been on the judging panel for some of the heats.
Yes.
So I just wondered how you got to be on the judging panel and how you find it kind of being on the other side of things as well.
Yeah, cool. So we won Metal to the Masses in 2013. It's like Warwickshire, which is sort of just south of Leicester, for those that don't know. And then sort of from there, I think Simon from Resin, his band won the next year. And then like, because he started putting on gigs in Leicester, he worked with Matt from Firebug, the pub that like we play a lot, and he's like the business partner for putting on Uprising. So we started doing the Metal to the Masses there in the build to the first Uprising, because the first one had it as part of that. So yeah, like as a former like winner, I guess, and someone who I sit on the door for Simon and help him. I do comparing for him and stuff like that. He just asked me if I wanted to be a judge, and I remember I did some judging in Coventry as well for a couple of years. So yeah, I enjoy it. It's an interesting one really, because like sometimes I don't like having to judge over other bands and kind of have to make decisions on like other bands' futures, so to speak. But like, I find it interesting and fulfilling because you get to see and help people with what they're doing. Like, you know, a lot of bands are very good about it, and you know, very humble and honest when they don't go through, and like they want to ask you advice. What do you think? And sort of getting that kind of, you know, people coming to me for advice is, I don't know, it's a strange and kind of gratifying feeling, because it's like, oh yeah, I've actually done this. I've actually gone out and, done the thing that you're trying to do. So they're asking me what we did, and and like I like talking about the machinery and the of how all this works, and sort of being at Bloodstock so much and being behind the scenes with it. I love the engine and all the cogs and seeing there and being amongst it all. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It gets scary sometimes when you see people, like I have seen people get a little bit funner, but for the most part, bands are really good about it, and they're really, when they don't go through, they're like they were oh yeah, cool, okay, so like, what do you think we should do? How did you feel about this? And I'm usually like, well, I like it. I think it's good. I always play good cop when it comes to the judging. It's always, I'm always sort of talking about the positives. It's very rare that I ever see a band and be like, oh yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, it has happened, but for the most part, especially this year, it's been a really good year for bands being so friendly, so like genuine about their approach to it. And, if they didn't get through, they're still turning up and watching the other bands and supporting and being really positive about it. And like last year as well, there was a couple of, one of the bands in the final this year, Voidwalker and Bury Me Where I Fall, they were hooking up with the other bands that went through, and Biocaster as well, became really close friends with the band that won, Sylvain, and now they're playing gigs together all over the place, kind of thing. And that's what we try and promote all the time. It's like, yeah, you're competing with this band, but what you're really supposed to be doing is playing in front of their fans and making friends with this band. So now they're your tour buddies. You hang around with these guys. You go play in Northampton or Nottingham or Birmingham with them, and then you go do that. And then we've seen a nice sort of growth of the scene in Leicester, of all these bands going out and playing all the little different venues, and it's really good to see, and like to sort of just maybe sort of think to myself like, yeah, I'll play a part in that. I've got a little role to play, and I can get involved and give back in that kind of sense. It's a nice feeling. It's nice to be a part of.
Yeah, I love kind of like the idea of that, and we've started going to Metal to the Masses a little bit as well.
Yeah, the Nottingham one.
The Nottingham heat when we can make it.
Yeah,
and one of the things is like the quality of the bands that are coming through as well is just unbelievable at the moment.
It is. Like, it is. I've been saying this for years, and I'm obviously biased because I've been playing in bands, but trying to get people who, no disrespect to people who do this, but they only ever go see the big bands. They'll probably go see Maiden every year for £100 or the same bands over and over again. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but they won't spend a £5 on a band down the road. And like, all I keep trying to say to people is like, yeah, but you don't realise that just because they're a local band, like, they're not awful. They're not bad. There's some incredibly talented and professional and amazing sounding bands playing such breakthrough and new stuff. I mean, we had Conjurer, they're off taking over the world at the minute. They've just announced a tour with Gojira. They won our first Metal to the Masses, and I saw them playing at Duffy's Bar in front of 2 people. You know what I mean?
Wow!
But they were phenomenal. Literally, they were on stage, and like everyone's like, "Okay, this lot are good." And the lineup sort of evolved a little bit, but yeah, you could see this band were going to go places. And when they won that, they kind of, I don't know how much it helped, but like I think it put them in the eye of a couple of people. And then now look at them. You just don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's all it takes, isn't it?
Mm.
So, kind of future live dates. We spotted that you're headlining Metal Invasion.
Yes, yeah.
And there's also a couple of Irish dates that you were talking about.
Yeah, excited.
So,
yeah, always wanted to go to Ireland. My granddad was Irish. So I'm sure they'll all get sick of me trying to bring that one out when I'm over there. But yeah, so like I'll go there a fair bit with the family now, or I've done over the years, and so really excited to be doing that with the guys from Beyond Your Design, who we went on tour with last year. They're good lads. They're in the Nottingham Metal to the Masses, and like I'd love to see them win. Like they're really good guys, are really committed, and they put so much effort into their live show. But like, yeah, so Metal Invasion is going to be good. That's for Unearthed. They're good guys. Liam's and Harry's doing a great job. And that's with a ton of amazing bands. And for us to be like headlining over so many amazing bands, I mean, it's kind of a daunting task where you got to follow all this amazing stuff. So it's like, right, got to put on your big boy pants and do something special for that one.
Yeah, we were looking at the poster for it earlier, weren't we? And there are some incredible bands on that lineup.
Nuts. Yeah, that lineup is nuts, and so really exciting, that one. And in Colville, it's a nice place. The Vicky Bike Spot, I played there many years ago. My old band, so it's one of those places where I think it's just nice to have that under your belt as a place we've played.
Okay, so just going back to Uprising, then, who are you looking forward to watching there this year?
Oh, well, we've just announced a whole bunch of new bands, haven't we? Let me get the poster up and I will look in real time. So I have actually been getting into Paradise Lost since he's announced them. Like, I'll admit they're a band I haven't really got into, but going back to where I first got into sort of rock and metal in particular, is I remember like a Music for Nations taster CD. We're going back for when I was like 14, 15. And like, I'd listen to Guns N' Roses loads because my brother was into it. But I remember getting this CD and I wish I still had it. But like, it was full of like real goth metal stuff, and Paradise Lost were one of the bands on that. So I just thought it was one of those things. I'm like, oh, it's kind of full circle. So I'm looking forward to them. Saw, I've been listening to them. They're brilliant, or he's brilliant. Palm Reader, I got into like sort of last year. Boss Killoyd, easily one of my favourite bands. Like, they are so unique, and I cannot talk about how much I love that band. Recall the Remains, a good bunch of lads. We played them a few times. Blood Oath, love those guys. Master Charger as well, played with them a few times. Feral State are amazing. They were in Our Metal to the Masses. They didn't get through, but I think they impressed everybody enough to be like, yeah, God, we'll give them a slot. And then, Lowen, they're interesting. Been listening to them recently. Yeah, they really caught my attention. So like, I'm really excited. Like most of those bands, I mean, I listened to Scarlet Riot the other day for the first time. I was like, not heard them before. They're good. Yeah, so it's good. And damn him, that's one of the guys from Akakok, I think. Yeah, saw them last year actually. They were really good. So I'm excited. Like, yeah, there's a lot there. Like, I could quite happily watch every single one of those bands and enjoy myself, I think. I saw Combi Christ at Bloodstock the other year, but this is an electric set, so it'll be a different vibe, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be cool, man. Really excited. I'm going to be knackered.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't wait for it. It's going to be so good to kind of see all these bands. You know, and I was watching your Bloodstock performance earlier.
Yeah, nice. Bit of feedback in that one. Kept going down. Michael's a little bit active on that.
But the energy you were kind of getting out there was just insane.
Yeah, cheers, man.
There was so much going on.
Yeah, that was first thing on Sunday of a 5-day festival. My God, I was dead. Like, I listened to that and I can hear where my voice is struggling a bit because of just the dry air, 'cause it had been hot. But like, yeah, before that, I was pacing up and down behind the stage because I was just full of like so much energy, like just winding myself up. That when I just came on, it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it in a big way. And I was like horrendously out of shape. I'm probably even more so now. So I was just knackered. I was dead after that. I was just walking zombie all day, but full of adrenaline and feeling fantastic.
It was great though. You kind of really got the crowd going, and like say, to do it on a Sunday, the 5th day of the festival, everybody's absolutely drained. Yeah, they've been at it.
Well, yeah, we kept saying to each other like, right, we're gonna wake everybody up. We're gonna make sure we get everyone going, and like the tent filled up. Like, it was a really good crowd. There's a great photo. Like, I've got it, saved on my computer. And you look at it, you just think, oh yeah, man, that was a big crowd. We had a lot of people watching us. So like, this it's such a, if I feel a bit down about whatever, I could look at pictures like that and go like, yeah, man, look, I'm doing this, Might not be touring the world or anything, but like, I get to do things like that, So like, it's just so gratifying, and it just makes me feel like things are like it's all worth it,
So one quick final question: tell us why people should come and check you guys out at Uprising, and kind of what your show, what a internal conflict show is.
Well, we're one of many hometown heroes. We've been doing this for a while, and we're the kind of guys where, I don't want to criticize others for stopping, but we're just sort of, we joke a few times that we're kind of just belligerently committed to doing what we're doing. It's like we're all past or knocking for it, but we go out there and play every gig like it's our last one. Like, we we know that at any minute anything could happen, and we're just like embracing and enjoying every moment like it could be the last gig we play. You know, we're making plans. We know we've got more coming up, but you just never know what's going to happen. And we just throw every ounce of energy we've got into every moment of every performance because, you know, who are the bands that, you know, I grew up loving so much? You know, Slipknot changed my life when they appeared. Slayer, just the pure energy of it all. I look at these bands, I go, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be. You know, I kind of came up with, you know, I got into the Metallica first, but as I was a young, like heading into my teens and late 20s, nu metal was that thing, you know, when it was such high energy, emotional music. And that's what I want, you know, from a show. I don't want, you know, I love bands, they have their vibe and they do kind of stand and don't do much, but us as a group, we're like, well, that's not who we are and what we want to portray. So we're getting in people's faces, we're going in, pulling faces and pulling shapes and moshing about and diving about the place where we can. So, you know, we like putting on a show, we like having a bit of fun and coming off of it, hurting a little bit and thinking, yeah, you know what, I'll put everything into that. So I'm going to feel that for the next few days, but at least I know that I've left it out there on the stage and, you know, and gone for it. You know, it's just kind of what we do. It's like what we're into is how we like portraying ourselves. So yeah, just come see a high energy show. Go and watch a guy who's, you know, gone through COVID and put too much weight on and making himself extremely tired and out of breath, but throwing himself around like he's 20 years younger than he actually is. You know, that's me.
Well, we definitely can't wait to see you guys live.
Cool, man. Cheers.
It's going to be great to get to watch you, and cool. Yeah, I think the festival itself is just going to be, you know, incredible.
Yeah, it's really good. Like talking to he doesn't usually give me too much information about some things. Like, cause I'm always asking him questions. How many tickets sold? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? And you know, the last couple of years where obviously with the COVID, like especially last year where things were a bit tough for everyone, but they stuck it out. And like you're seeing a few festivals kind of, unfortunately, base cancelling recently, like because of low ticket sales. It's really heartbreaking to see that happen. And after last year, I think they were a little bit like, well, if this year's the same and it struggles, then we might have to just knock it on the head. So they put a bit of extra money in to go for a slightly better, more expensive headliner. And it seems to have paid off. Like the ticket sales have been really good. We got to a point where the O2 said, well, you've got too many people for the second room, so you've got to have a third room now. So like within a week, it was like, because he said initially like, yeah, we'll sell this many tickets, so let me book for a third room. They're like, oh no, wait till you get there. So we get there and he's like, right, we've got to book a third stage now. So it's going to be busy. And then I think the other year when we had Napalm Death in, he said like, it's Napalm Death, Acid Rain and somebody else who was dead good. And like he said like the ticket sales weren't that great, but when you were there, it looked amazing. The main room looked put full. And I'm like, there was more people than what tickets sold there. So this time around, I think it's going to look amazing. I'm really excited about it.
So thank you, Adam. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And we really can't wait to see you guys hit the stage at Uprising.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Well, hope you enjoyed that. We had a really great time chatting with Adam. And of course, check them out at Uprising. They're going to be amazing live. And we can't wait to watch them as well. Of course, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Ready to Mosh Cast. And we're also on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Ready to Mosh. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform service you're on. And we will be back next week with another episode.
Make it stop, Moog.